Hi everyone, Emma here. I'm so excited to show you how to make this bracelet. So I used cube beads and Delica beads together to create this design, and I guess I was trying to figure out a way to use cube beads other than some of the typical ways that you would, and I just thought, I wonder what would happen if I put the two together and like how that would translate. So let me just enlarge this here to start with. If you take a look at the edge, so the cubes are a little bit raised compared to it's very slight compared to the Delica beads. So it creates this really neat effect. And yeah, so I thought I had some orange, and I was thinking I had some black too of the cube beads, and I was thinking some stuff with Halloween. But then when I looked at the Delica beads that I had on hand, I had these lovely burnt orange with silver lined dyed Delica beads, 11 O's, and I thought this looks amazing. And I had to say, as I was making it, I realized this Monday is a holiday for us here in Canada for Truth and Reconciliation, and that's to honor the children from, what is it? Let me see. Residential schools and their families and communities. So I thought this would be a really wonderful way to acknowledge um, that and to show your support. So let's take a look at how to make this. And you can use other colors and do different designs. You don't have to make straight lines. One of the things that kind of caught my attention is anytime that I do some type of peyote design, I get questions from people how to start a straight peyote design, and it's super simple. So what's left is your imagination on what you can do with it. So let's take a look. For this design, we have 3 lines of the cubes that are actually 2 cubes wide. So, and then I wanted to outline it by something. So I have the Delicas on the outer edge and then the Delicas on the inner edge. So what that means is to calculate an even peyote stitch so that you're not like confused on how to turn around. If you have an odd count, you can sometimes it gets a little complicated in your turnarounds. This way, it's very simple. It's up and down straight. You know exactly what bead to put next. So you count, there's 2 beads in this row, 2 beads in this row, and so forth all the way down. So that ends up being 14 beads. So what you do at your beginning is you're going to start with 14 beads. So what you're going to need is you're going to need some Miyuki cubes. These are 1.8 millimeter cubes. They are so lovely. And then I have some John Bead Delica beads as well. So these are I haven't tried a regular bead in this, so that'll be another design for another time. So let's put those out to start with. Let's get some of those. And some of these cubes. I'm using the John Bead Good thread, and what we're going to do is, you can kind of see my thread here is orange. I'm going to dye it, so I'll show you that neat trick on dyeing it. I do find, like, for peyote stitch, it's not as, you may not need to dye it, but if you take a look on the edge, you can see the thread. So it's you can use dye it. You can also use other thread with this. Peyote stitch is a very forgiving stitch. It's not, in a sense, structural like a bead weaving design is, and you're passing through your beads multiple times, so it will hold up. Like, if you pull apart, it's not going to pull apart. So your thread kind of weight is not as crucial. So let's get this, and you're going to need, I'm using a size 12 needle. You can use a size 10 if it's easier for you to thread. So let's grab just about a wingspan just for the sake of the video, but for yourself, definitely whatever you feel comfortable using, the length, I would definitely try to get your using a wingspan at a time, because something like this will probably, I think, maybe 4 to 5 wingspans. So let's dye this. Let me get a bit of the twist out. I'm just going to use a little stick-it notepad like that. Get my thread over here. I'm using a Sharpie marker. You can use a highlighter too. I've done that and it's held up. So just take your thread and put the edge of your Sharpie, but pull your thread through. That's how easy it is. And I'm just going to untwist that a bit. And you don't have to worry on how even the dyeing of the thread is, because you're not going to see most of it. And even your ends you don't have to worry about, because you usually cut off the end. So not a big deal. So like something like that, that's going to go in my needle. I don't really concern myself with it. Thread your needle. You can see, so this thread is really good. It's can be used with 10-0 beads and 11-0 beads, and I'm amazed that with a size 12 needle I can thread it that easily. So super cool. So there's that. You're going to need a stop bead, so let's grab a stop bead. Let's see what kind of, I saved some of my one hole mini duos to use as a stop bead. So just put that on your thread, that, and go down. I would leave enough to put a clasp on the end, so maybe 10 centimeters, maybe 15 centimeters. So go back up through your stop bead and pull that all the way through. So there's your stop bead. So we're going to start with our Delicas, 11-0 Delicas. You're going to put 2, then 2 cubes, and keep doing that till you have 14 on there. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It's a good thing I checked. It's like that pattern looks like it's done. They're so small, it's hard to believe that's 14 beads. So then take that down to the bottom. So that's what you're going to be working with. I think we're just going to move this up a bit and these guys up. I always do this. I should know by now. I need to tilt the camera so you can see my hands, and the beads are in the way. My pretties are in the way, so hang on to your beads that you're going to start with. So the first thing with peyote stitch, it's really it's basically the same every time you start. So you're going to pick up the same color bead that you have there. You're going to skip that bead. You're going to go through the next bead like that. Okay, so then pull your thread down. You can release it, but you're going to want to get it to the bottom here. Just a second here. It's hard at the beginning. There's not a lot to hold on to, so see if I can get that tight here. There, like that. So you get this. Make sure that's focused. this little kind of T section happening. So now your thread is coming out of this bead here, this little Delica. So the next bead we're going to add on is a cube bead. That. We're going to skip the first cube bead and go through the second cube bead. Like that. And pull through. That's what you have. So now the thread's coming out of this cube. Your next bead is a Delica, so you're going to pick up a Delica bead. You're going to skip the first one. Let me flip this there. Be able to see it a little better. Okay, so you're coming out of here. You're going to skip this bead. You're going to go through the next. This part here is a little complicated if you're not familiar with peyote stitch, but once you have your first row, the rest is really simple because you're basically putting a bead where there is, like, there's a little indent. So let's see what we have. See if I can, this makes it any easier. I hope that's, let me see if I bring it down a bit here. Okay, so there's your threads coming out of here. So we need a cube bead. We skip the first cube bead. We go through the second one. That. So the next one is a Delica bead. Pick up one of those. Skip the first Delica. Go through the second one. That. Like that. The next one's a cube bead. Pick up a cube bead. Skip the first cube. Go through the next one. That. And then the last is a Delica. So you skip the first Delica there, go through the second one. Okay, so let's put that down and show you what we have. So that's what we have so far. So now we're going to go up this way, and you can flip your work depending on which way you like to go. From some people like to stitch this way, some people like to stitch this way. So let's just hang on to this. So the next bead we're going to need is a Delica. So pick up a Delica. We're going to put the Delicas in the spots that are the low spots. These beads here all stick out, but we're going to put beads in those low spots. So our first one is a Delica. Like that. Pick up the next one's a cube bead. It's going to fit in that slot. So we're coming out of this Delica. We're going to add the bead there. So go through the next cube. Like that. Pick up a Delica. So if you look, the next bead in that low spot is going to be a Delica. Right. Pick up a cube, go through the next cube. Just like that. Okay, the next one's a Delica. go through the next, sticking out one like that. These Delicas, oh, the bead must have come off my needle. These orange Delicas are so lovely. I feel like they're just so intense and so gorgeous. Like that. Now the Delicas are definitely smaller than the cubes, but it's barely visible through, like when you look at the bracelet. Let's come out a bit here. When you look at the bracelet, you can't really tell, but if you look closely, you can see there's spaces between the Delicas. And that's because the cubes are bigger, so your thread is actually going on an angle towards the Delica. But you can't see any of that. Like if you're just looking at it, it's not a big deal. You can't see it. So still, it's very shiny. I love me some shiny stuff. I must have been like one of those birds that picks up all the shiny things and makes their nest out of it. Magpie, maybe? I'm sure there's lots of birds that do that. So there's your second row, which is actually your third row, but that's another conversation for a more detailed thing. If you just follow what I'm doing, you don't need to know that, unless you go and you try to follow a design that says on row 2 or row 3, you need to know that your first set of beads that you put on there is actually 2 rows. So there, I said it. Next bead that we're going to put in there is a Delica. I'm going to do it this way because the camera is out a little further. It's not as grainy. And I should say too that if you are watching my videos on, say, a tablet or your phone and it looks like it's really poor quality, you can increase the quality. I shoot all mine at 720, which is pretty good quality, but it gets downsized from YouTube. Part of it uses more power to stream that, so they reduce it. And then if you're using a higher quality video on your device, it uses up more of your battery, so your device will need to be charged more often. So, I mean, it's good for everybody, but if you're finding that things are very grainy, feel free to they're in this area here of my tablet. So my device, I use a tablet. There's a little dial. It might be different on your whatever you're using if you're using your phone, but go to settings and you'll see it'll say picture quality. You can tap that and then it'll bring up another window and it'll give you options. One of the options, higher picture quality, you can tap that and you'll see within seconds, all of a sudden it's like boof, you can see. And I only say that because I noticed when I was really magnified, it looked really poor, the quality of the video. It's not that it's that, it's just when we change it. So a lot of chitter chatter, I know. Delica bead is going to go in this spot here, like that. If you enjoy my videos because of my, I try and make it interesting, so when we're doing repetitive things like beading, I like to talk and say hello and what are you guys up to and that kind of thing. So if it's not your cup of tea, you want just a specific thing, you can always mute it and fast forward and do all kinds of fun things with it. I won't be upset. So there. It's interesting and sad in some ways that I have to say that, because believe it or not, I get a lot of comments that people are really upset with me because I talk too much. Like, do you think I don't know I talk too much? Oh, that really? That's why people like my videos. We get to chit chat, hang out with Emma. So cute. You can see how fast this is coming together. And if you have some, pardon, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. There's a kitty cat in here. That's why I'm sneezing. It's his fault. Okay. So yeah, this is really interesting. Let me know if you have cube beads hanging around that you didn't realize you could use. I bought cube beads that were provided by John Bead. I got them on Amazon from the craft shop here in Canada. And that was when I first started beading. And I just loved them. I was like going nuts over these cube beads. But then I thought all I could do with it was peyote. So now that I started pulling them out again, saying, you know, let's try something else. I've done flat chenille with them. Looks amazing. I've done flat chenille, but using a 15-0 bead with the cube, and what it does is it creates a curve. It's actually a video that's become quite popular. I think a lot of people do have cube beads hanging around that didn't know what you could do with them. I'll just keep going like this. I'd like to try, the next thing is maybe do like on a diagonal the cube beads. I wonder, like after looking at that bracelet, the spaces, if it would actually be difficult to do, if there'd be more thread exposed. So I'll definitely check that out and give you an update on that. So you just keep going. This and here, you know, as you get going with peyote stitch, you become more efficient in the sense that you figure out where to put your hands and how to hold it, what makes it easier for you. So then it goes really quick. I feel like I used to knit, and I feel it's like knitting in the sense that you don't even have to think about it. The stitches are there for you, kind of thing. And it just, like within an hour, you could have a good part of a bracelet done. And it's not that I like to go through my bracelets fast. It's just, okay, so here's the lowdown. I have so many colors. I need to play with them all. I need to mix them up and figure out, oh, what if I put this color with this color and this large bead with this small bead? Are they going to play nice? And then crazy things happen, and it's so much fun. So you can see from, I have project bins, and right now there's probably 10 on my desk that are ready to go for a video. I have bins of project bins, that sounds terrible, that from years ago even, that I'd like to do video, but I would be doing videos every day, all day. Not that I don't enjoy doing it. There is a bit of a difference with just doing straight beading for yourself and doing it on video when there's like a camera in the way. But oh my gosh, it's so much fun sharing this with all of you. So thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for subscribing. It's pretty amazing. I just hit 30,000 subscribers. I did not expect that to happen at all. I kind of knew once I got into beading now. I don't know why it's not. There we go. I kind of knew that once I got into doing YouTube videos for beading that I would be doing this for years. But I had no idea that at the beginning that it would ever amount to anything. So we will complete this row and then I'll just show you. So you're basically going to keep going like this. And you can see how easy it is and how lovely. It's very flexible and awesome. Okay, so let's switch out my needle. I'll take this needle and we're going to attach a clasp to the bracelet. It does come out a bit. Now, there's many ways to attach a clasp to a peyote stitch bracelet. I'm kind of struggling, so if you have any ideas, let me know. Basically, what I did for this one is I decreased my peyote on the end. So for some of you who are really expert peyote stitchers, let me know what the best way to do this. Now, yeah, so I did, I think, 2 decrease rows, and then there was some sticking out beads there, and I just put like 4 seed beads across to each of them, and then attached one of these clasps. So we're going to do that. So let's go, let's hope we, I don't know if we have enough thread. Yeah. So this is like maybe 10 centimeters of thread. You probably want 20. Normally, I don't recommend you use the same thread from your bracelet to your clasp. I like to use a separate one. If it breaks, then it breaks and not all your beads. But I think for one, this thread's pretty strong. And 2, with peyote stitch, it's a little different. It's not like a bead weaving, you know, large and small beads kind of thing. Yeah, this is going to be sketch. So you end like that. Now, what you need to do is you're going to need to go, instead of adding a bead here, I'm going to go over to the bead next to this here. And this is kind of like a odd count peyote turn. So you're going to find a path so your thread comes back out through this bead here. Normally I wouldn't go straight across like that. See how I've gone straight across? Normally I would weave in and then come back up it. I mean, it still works. So now what I did was I decreased with all Delicas so that my lines of the cubes ended there. But I'll tell you, I did notice, because the Delicas are smaller, that they weren't quite sitting all together, so it looks a little jumbled, but you have to really look to see that. So let's get a Delica. Oops. Go through the sticking out beads like that. Another Delica, and we're going to go across till we get to this end one here. And like I said, I don't think we have enough thread here. Well, I kind of know we don't, but let's see what we can manage. I think what I might do is just do a straight here and then attach, and I'll fix the other side off camera because I kind of don't, it looks a bit messy to me. Again, I'm very picky. I don't think people are going to notice something like that, but okay. So let's go through here. It's our final one. So we've reduced on this side and that side. Yeah, you can see that's popped that bead up. Okay, I'm going to turn it. I'm going to go back to this one here. And let's go. I'm going to go one over and up, and then I'm going to go through the cube bead and the Delica on an angle here. So now I'm going to put beads across. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I want to do is I'm going to put 4 beads, and I'm going to latch onto this bead here, which is kind of the middle. Then I'll put 4 here, and that's what will hook everything on. And this is kind of a cheating way to do this. You'll pardon me for this. Actually, you know what? This looks nice. Okay, I take it back. There's 4, so we went through that one. We're going to go through this one. Now what I want to do is make sure you go through those pieces, these little loops, twice. At least twice, if not 3 times, because your jump rings are going to be hanging on to that. So you want to make sure they're nice and snug. So I'm going to take my thread from there. I'm going to go through the one next to it, like that. And let's see what the best way we want to be coming through this bead. So let's take this cube bead, go through this one here, and go on an angle to the next cube bead. So go through the 2 cube beads. That. Okay, now I'm going to go through this one. And this is to help me do a turnaround. So I'm going to go through these 2 cube beads, like that. And then I'm going to go through this Delica here, and that will position me there through this one. Now I can go through here. Okay, I'm just going to flip it so that we can see. So it's this one I want to go through. I'm sure I'm in the right spot here. Yeah, right there. Go through here and through these beads here. And we will tie off. Go through that middle bead. Hold it in place. Then through these 4 that we added. I want to make sure that my needle went through everything. There. So those are secure. So now I'm going to create a thread path with the rest of my thread that goes over itself. So if you want, you can do like a square pattern and go at least once and then turn over it again. then you know that thread will not pull out. If you're confused about that, you can take a look at one of my square stitch videos. I show you use it in that, and that's actually, you can take a look at one of Jill Wiseman's videos. She shows you how to do that in one of her designs. And you know what? I think I skipped a bead here. So let's see if we can get through to get that thread out of there. It's you can barely see it, but I feel better if we, there, see, I forgot to go through this bead here. So let's go on an angle. And I'm using my fingernail to kind of move the beads apart, but sometimes it works. Other times it doesn't. So let's just go through here and we can cut this off. And that thread's not coming out at all. Let's take that off and cut that. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, you can decide what you want to do at the end of yours. So let's put the rest of the clasp on. So I've got my, we're going to put a feather on to represent the Truth and Reconciliation bracelet. And just, you know, the feather in Indigenous culture is very symbolic of freedom and flight, as well as it's a very sacred object. It's used in ceremonies to you know, speak to the, you know, be spiritually connected to the elders, or the, not the elders, but the ancestors. So I thought it would be nice to use these lovely sweet and petite feathers that I got from John Bead. I actually wanted to put a whole bunch along the front, but I thought, let's just try this first. There's one side. I'm using 5mm jump rings, and they're 18 gauge. I prefer to use 18 gauge. I feel like they're they look more substantial than some of the thinner gauges. So I pretty much use 18 gauge all the time. There. And oh yeah, that's gonna look lovely. Now where to put it? I think I'm gonna put it on this jump ring, and it's good to have the extender chain so it'll fit anybody. So there we go. This lovely feather. Put that on. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Look at that. Beautiful. What I wanted to do is put like a whole bunch. You know me, I have to put lots of everything. So let's take a look at what this looks like on. Oh, wow. So I made this larger than my wrist here. So let me see if I can... I don't know if I can hook it on. I am not the best at... Oh, here we go. That jump extender chain, the links are pretty tiny. Here, let me get this going again. I find some of these lobster claws are, they're tight when you first use them. There. It was just because I was having a hard time getting it in there. Get that in focus. Like that. Yeah. And look at how beautiful that is. Awesome. So there you go. So just yeah, get out your cubes and your different size beads and try and play with them and have fun and acknowledge our thoughts are with our Indigenous brothers and sisters that we're thinking about them on the holiday. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.